Mr. E. D. Anthony, Sr. Now, we're talking to Mr. E. D. Anthony, Sr. in his office in the Anthony store on Datura Street, or Clematis Street in West Palm Beach. And when I was here the other day, you told me...
This is
all right, this is fine. You told me this was that day, the 29th of March, was the 66th anniversary of your first store?
No, not of the first store.
Of this one?
This one, yeah. The story goes like this. On September the 15th, A.P. Anthony, the founder of the organization as merchants, moved here with his store from Titusville, Florida.
Oh.
The man, he'd bought out Charles K. Morgan, jeweler, who had died. He bought his everything complete and moved it down here with the railroad.
Titusville had previously been the trading center.
That's right. And now Florida, the East Coast Railroad came down the East Coast, and the big freeze up there on the 19th of February that year put the citrus business entirely out of business. And so between the railroad moving down and the citrus building killed out, why, it was very, very gloomy in Titusville. So my brother moved down here with the railroad and arrived and opened his store on the 15th of September, 1895.
In West Palm Beach or Palm Beach?
West Palm Beach.
Have the Anthony stores always been in West Palm Beach?
Well, we had a shop over there during the season
I see.
for 32 years, which I ran. But the main business and organization was here.
Now, first you were children. First you were in the jewelry.
First jewelry and newsstand.
Oh, really?
And we had a store, a 25-foot store, up half of it, without a partition in it. And the only partition in that store was the post office boxes in the same room. And we had our newsstand and our jewelry business in there with the post office, in a 25 by 60-foot store.
Now, how long did that last?
That lasted, we outgrew it. And then I came down here and joined my brother on the 29th of March, 1896. And I was very active on my bicycle, and we had that newsstand, we got the newspapers from Jacksonville, and they got here at 9:05 p.m. And we met those trains, and the fellow that could get down to town, to Narcissa Street first, sold the papers. And I got down there, I was a bicycle racer in those days, and believe me, I came up Datura just full speed ahead.
You had a heavy load of papers too, didn't you?
Yeah, but we had baskets for them, you know. Everything, all the delivery in this part of the world was on bicycles. Baskets in front of the bicycles. The groceries were delivered in baskets and so on.
Where'd they park the wheels? Where'd they park the bikes?
Well, in the middle of Clematis Avenue, we had bicycle racks right down the center and the people that came from the north side of town parked on the north side, and those that came from the south side parked on the south side of those racks.
Now, in 1896, how big a town was this?
1,735, supposedly. We had 2-3 churches, and Lake Worth, when I got here, had 3 little towns on the north end of Lake Worth, from north of West Palm Beach. One of them was the town of Juneau, of the county seat of Dade County. And Dade County extended all the way from Stewart to St. Lucie River to Cape Sable on the south of Florida. And Juneau was the county seat of Dade County. And Dade was named for Major Dade of the Indian War period, who was massacred 4 miles east of Tampa. They had a garrison of 129 men then, and only 3 got away to tell the story. Now that brought on the Indian War in earnest.
Were the churches here when you came to town?
Oh yes, the Methodist Church and the Congregational Church was a big church, and it's on the corner of Datura and Olive.
That was the first church, was it?
Well, that's the first Protestant church.
Do you recall who the minister was?
Yes, a man named Carlisle. Carlisle. He was got into trouble later.
Oh.
Poisoned his wife, and left some children, but that was a black period on the part of the
That must have
church.
been, let's see, that must have been Miss Stour's father.
That's right. No.
Miriam Stour.
That's right. That's just her own father.
Mm-hmm.
That was her own father. I knew him well. I heard him preach. He was a great preacher. He came here from Chicago. Now, one of the interesting things about this early history was that this massacre brought on a real activity with the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Indian forts, rather, at Fort Pierce, Fort Jupiter, Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Dallas at Miami. And the oldest thing about the Palm Beach, or West Palm Beach, is the military trail, because it was the supply land to supply these forts.
It started up at Fort Pierce, huh?
Well, no, it started west of Fort Pierce, at Fort Bassinger and Fort Drum, and then Fort Pierce, and then Fort Jupiter.
Mm-hmm. Now, why was it so far inland?
Well, because the darn Indians were inland.
Oh, I see.
And then Fort Lauderdale was a pivotal point, and Fort Dallas at Miami was a very big interest in the war.
Well, now, to get back to the Anthony stores.
Well, we came here as jewelers, see, and then we branched out into the men's clothing.
What inspired you to do that?
My brother Gus was an inspiring man. He was a creator.
Mm-hmm.
A.P. Anthony was a creator. And he and a man named Miller, who was an experienced man in the ready-to-wear for men from Knoxville, Tennessee, got their heads together, and they got an extra store from Mr. Stowers down under the Palms Hotel. And we had, we didn't move our jewelry store, we just got the next room next to it for the men's clothing and shoes. Mm-hmm. And we did a very wonderful business from the beginning. And then we gradually got out of that jewelry business and got exclusively into the men's store.
Why did you make the changeover?
Well, because that other was sort of the clothing and shoes were necessary, necessities, don't you see?
Jewelry was a luxury.
And jewelry was a luxury.
Although there's still a number of people tell me around here about jewelry that they bought for you. Mrs. Jessie Sheen, for example.
Oh yes.
She told me about a piece.
Well, sold her a lot of silverware, that silver mugs and all that stuff.
But the people weren't too affluent in those days.
No. Well, then we commenced to grow after that men's store started. Mm-hmm. And we opened a store in Daytona Beach for one of our boys, one of our managers. And then we opened another store in different parts, up in the northern part of Florida. But we consolidated all of our efforts down here. Now, things happened about 1909 when the two older brothers, the middle brother died in 1931, 1931, I believe. I don't know. Now I have to look it up. But these other two, they got the bank business in their heads. Mm-hmm. And so they opened a bank in West Palm Beach in 1909, the Bank of Palm Beach. And it was right down on this street, in the middle of the next block, east. And we brought a man from Georgia named L.P. McCord to be the first cashier. And he was a thorough banker that was loaned to us. He didn't expect us to keep him, but he was loaned to us by a bachelor banker magnate of the little town of Crawfordville, Georgia, and Mr. John F. Holden. And Mac made quite a reputation, McCord made quite a reputation down here as a banker and conservative and constructive, and then my older brothers got into it, and they, after this bank, and then they bought a bank in Jacksonville in 1914, and the two older brothers moved to Jacksonville. And one of them became the head, J.R., the oldest brother, became the head of the Witham system of Florida with 38 banks in the state. And he was executive head of that whole thing. And unfortunately for him, he worked too hard. He got an attack of arthritis, and the arthritis got, while he was working on those banks and keeping going, why, the arthritis got the jump on him. It killed him in 7 years. Died. The last 4 years was the most horrible suffering I've ever known a human being to have to go through. Well, the other brother, then he got trading around in banks, and he was a trader. Often it's said that Mr. Bryan, William Jennings Bryan, couldn't make a speech a day. He would be unhealthy and unhappy. Now, my brother Gus, but I often thought about that and applied it to my brother Gus. If he couldn't make some kind of a trade a day, he wasn't happy. And he traded in real estate and traded in banks, and he made a lot of money.
You stayed in the mercantile end of it all the time.
And then when they moved to Jacksonville, I bought them out. And
well, you've introduced a number of innovations in clothing here, haven't you?
Yes.
Weren't you the fellow that brought in the two-tone shoes?
Yes, I'm the daddy of them.
Where'd
For
you get that
America,
idea?
huh?
Where'd you get that idea?
Well, there was an Englishman came here named Chatfield Taylor. He was quite a socialite, and he had been entertained in Chicago by Miss Potty Palmer. That was about the Della Ritz was, you know.
That's as far up
they go. Yeah. Well, he came down here and they put his picture in the little Daily News, White Palm Beach Daily News, on the front page. And that guy walked in my store to buy a straw hat, and he had on the most beautiful pair of tan and white shoes I ever laid my eyes on. And so Commodore John Hannon of the Hannon and Son people organization, he was a house guest of the Royal Ponciana. And he was my buddy, because I was selling Hannon shoes in that store in front of the Ponciana. And I told him about that pair of shoes that Englishman had. And I said, Commodore, my guess is that those darn shoes cost that Englishman 15 or 18 pounds. Now, that's a lot of money in those days.
$5 a pound, weren't they?
$4.50 or $5. And I says, they were the most good. Now, I says, Commodore, I don't know how I'm going to get those shoes for you to see, but you are going to see them. So, that very afternoon, I looked up, and it came, this fellow, Chatfield Taylor, was coming down that little cut-off walk from the veranda of the Ponciana, headed into my store. And he was, instead of coming in, he was going down to Bradley's for a little afternoon gambling, about 4 o'clock, 4:30. And I saluted him and stopped him and talked to him, and then this is my story. This is what I told him. I said, Mr. Taylor, that nice straw hat I sold you a few days ago, I don't like the band on it. And I got a lot of fine bands that's going to be here tomorrow morning. And if you bring that hat in at 11 o'clock, I'll put you a nice band on that hat, and I won't charge you a nickel for it. But I said, be sure to wear that pair of tan and white shoes you got on. And he looked at me, he said, what's the joke? I says, no joke. So at 11 o'clock, here he came. He's about 6'5", and he was a long stepper. He comes stalking in and said, Auntie, here's that damn hat you wanted. And I said, yes, sir, but I had Commodore John Hannon sitting there reading the New York Times, see? And I took an extra long time putting that hat band on. I went back behind the scenes to put the hat band on. It killed a lot of time, and I had old Commodore Hannon drinking in that pair of shoes. Well, I fixed his hat, took it to him, he thanked me, and he got up and left. But when he was gone, the Commodore Hannon got up and he said, boy, you got something, you got something, you got something. He said it 3 times. It's like that. Now, and then quick as a flash, he said, I'm going to be back in the factory in 11 days. My schedule will take me back. Now, this was the 10th of March. Now, he says, by June the 1st, we're going to be ready for you. And you coming up to New York to see I'm going to make 35 different types of styles, variations of this thing, and I'm going to go and do a job. And you're going to come up there and you're going to buy 12 styles. Of those are 72 pairs of the style for this store for January 1st opening. Now, this is figuring 10 months ahead, don't you see? And he says, what you buy for your Palm Beach on January the 1st, presentment, I'm going to rebuy for my New York 5th Avenue and Broadway stores the same identical shoes. And what you show in Palm Beach, I'm going to show there in April. You're going to have the jump on me. And in addition to that, if you need more sizes, you get them out of my stock. I'm gonna make them up, and I'm gonna be ready to ride. He just analyzed that thing just like the thoroughbred that he was.
You had a moment of inspiration, though, that started it all.
Oh yes, and so I got those 720 pair of shoes on January 1st, and believe me, brother, we sold them.
What did the Hannon shoe? What did the Hannon version of the shoe cost?
Oh, I don't remember now, but we sold them about $17.50, something like that. And
that was a good price for a pair of shoes in those days.
Oh, you said it. But that was Palm Beach. My theory of Palm Beach, my motto was, there's nothing too good for Palm Beach. And we used to open that store with 5 $100 Panamas, with Knox having the stock up in there I could wire for in no time. And then I borrowed 5 $500 Panamas. I had a big long glass showcase for them. And we sold a lot of those. Then we sold all the Panama hats from $15 and $20 up.
The regular
Regular
underwater job.
That's right. And we sold those shoes though. We had a season on those darn tan and white and black and white shoes.
Mr. Anthony, I don't know whether it prevailed then or not, but I have noticed in the Palm Beach area especially, men seem still to spend a lot of money on their clothes and then to go to great ends to make them look like they're sloppy.
Yeah.
Did they do that in those days?
No, we dressed them up. Hell, I wouldn't have stood for it.
Was Bradley a good dresser?
One of the greatest dressers in America.
He was, huh?
John Bradley was not Ed. Ed was the big gambler. And John had a tailoring business in Chicago. And he was credited as being the most immaculately dressed man in America, John Bradley. I knew them both.
Well, you must have been close to the beach club then.
I was well, you know where that bridge goes across? Well, the beach club was just north of that bridge, north of the railroad. I was just about 2 blocks away.
You were too busy to go gamble, though.
Oh, hell, I never touched anything of that kind in my life. I never gambled once in my life. The most interesting things that there's a gap in there now is when we had a man named old Rip Van Winkle.
No, really?
Yeah, you know, Rip Van Winkle, Joe Jefferson.
Oh, Joe Jefferson, the actor.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
yes,
actor.
yes.
He came down here, and my brother A.P. Anthony met him. And we sold him on the idea of built. Now this, see, 6 stores right here, beginning at where this Beck shoe store,
Yes.
and the next 6 stores, those were built by old man Joe Jefferson.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was an investor as well as an actor. Huh?
Yeah, oh, he was loved it down there. And then we sold him on the idea, my brother Gus sold him on the idea of building us a store where Walgreens now is. And we built a store there 100 feet deep and 50 feet wide. And we occupied it till 1919 when I built this building.
Mm-hmm.
I built this building myself. And my brothers had moved to Jacksonville in 1914, and they helped me, and they were loyal, you know. And I was doing all right, and they helped me, and I financed this building, a 3-story building right here, and we've been occupying it ever since.
Mr. Anthony, the name, of course, Anthony, is legendary in the mercantile world in this part of the country. Did you have any competition?
Oh, yes, we had competition, sure.
Well, you managed...
We had a competition over there right in front of the Royal Ponciana Hotel. They were crowded in there, man, and I bought him out.
Uh-huh.
And then they took his store right over and operated a 50-foot store in front of the Ponciana, the finest store south of 5th Avenue. We wasn't anything too good for Palm Beach. We sold more silk socks. We sold $10 belts like this 50 years ago. And we sold socks as high as $3.50 and $4 a pair.
Well, of course, this was just during the season.
And I was January through April 10th, 15th. But there's another creation that we put in there. I brought golf hose and knickers to Palm Beach.
Oh, really?
I love that because I could get import. I'd go to the New York in April or May, and before the fellows went to Europe to buy woolen socks. And my gosh, the amount of $15 golf hose that we sold was absolutely fabulous. $10, $7.50. And then we put the linen knicker craze in right down there. I'd buy those darn things 1,000 pair at a clip. I was sort of a halfway gambler on merchandise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we'd sell them.
This kept you running ahead of the competition, too.
That's right. Well, now those brothers moved to New York, Jacksonville in 1914, and they stayed up there. And the oldest brother died, and the other brother moved back down here later on. And his bank in Jacksonville failed, the APN, and then he came back down here. We had worked together very closely. He was a grand man, that fellow AP.
Do you miss here you are in your office in your beautiful store on Clematis in Palm Beach, but you don't have the same contact here that you used to have in Palm Beach. Do you miss that?
Well, yes, because our customers over there were the elite of America, and the men could spend the money. And we don't have that kind of business.
Do you think that the Ponciana was responsible for inspiring a lot of these people to move to Palm Beach?
Yes, I do. Ponciana was the largest wooden structure in the world, 1,055 feet long and 6 stories high, and could seat 1,600 people.
Did they have elevators in it?
Oh, yes. Not only that, but they could seat 1,500 in dining room. And they had that famous cakewalks and all that stuff, you know. Oh.
They must have brought the supplies in by special train, didn't they?
Well, not necessarily special train, but Florida East Coast Railroad was back.
Train loads just devoted to supply.
Yeah.
This was also the era of the private car, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, oh yes. Oh, they had tracks over there where used to have 20 and 30 private cars on there at the time.
Flagler, of course, made a great mark on this community, didn't he?
Oh, yes.
He revolutionized it.
Well, now, wait a minute. Yes, there wasn't any community when he got here. But there's one thing about Mr. Flagler that very, very, very few people know. And he got some kind of a deal over with the State Department of Florida, State Land Department. And Florida had a lot of state land. And for every mile of railroad that Flagler built down the East Coast, he got 5,000 acre premium for building it.
Oh, this then is the Model Land Company.
That's it.
Aha.
That was the Model Land Company.
How much land did he wind up with?
Oh, I don't know a lot.
He must have done a lot of it.
Yeah.
A lot of. Well, I'd like to sit here and talk to you all day, but today is Rotor Day, and I want to say thank you very much, and you've been just wonderful.
Well, now, you want any more any time?
I'll come back another time. I'm going to California tomorrow, but I'll come back in the fall.
Well,
Okay,
get
I'll
this
unhook
off.
you. Thank you very much.